Yo, what's good, y'all? We back in here with another video. And Brooklyn Nets. What's good? What's good, y'all? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not even going to come at this from a Knicks fan perspective because that would just be delusional. I'm not going to come in here hating. I'm just going to speak from a basketball fan perspective. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that the window is gone, but it's closing. It's closing. Not super fast, but it's closing quick enough. And you can sit up here and say, after them getting swept, that the Brooklyn Nets have by far been the biggest disappointment in basketball in the past 3 seasons. A team that has, back in the 2019 offseason, they signed Kevin Durant, they signed Kyrie Irving, they signed DeAndre Jordan, whatever, I guess. That was a significant move or whatever. But, they signed Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Expected to make deep playoff runs, maybe one day win a title. And literally nothing has happened since that time frame. So let's talk about it. First season, Kyrie Irving's playing, but he's hurt. Kevin Durant's he's still recovering from the Achilles, so he never even touches the floor that season. They go into the bubble. The Nets are like the 8th seed or something like that, 7th seed. They lose to Toronto in that first round matchup in the bubble, and they basically have none of their guys though, so that's an excuse. I get it, you know what I mean? I get it. Then we go into last season. Last season happens, and they bring in James Harden. They destroy that young core that they had. Sean Marks and the Nets front office blow up that whole young core with LeVert and Allen. They destroy it, and they get James Harden. Big move, big time move. James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Them dudes barely even play on the same floor together in their time together. That's crazy. That's crazy. 16 games they played together, right? So they go into the playoffs last season. High expectations, title hopes. They were probably the title favorites. Injuries messed them up a little bit. Kyrie tweaks his ankle in the Milwaukee series. Harden, hamstring injury in game 1 of the Milwaukee series last year. Kevin Durant has to basically carry. He almost does, but they lose. Nonetheless, it's still a second round exit. We can't deny it. It's a second round exit. This season, Kyrie drama all year long. Kyrie drama. Then they go, Harden wants out. More drama now. They go and they swap that drama for Ben Simmons, who's already going through drama. More drama. I don't get what they were thinking. I mean, I get it at the time, but you look at it hindsight now, it's like, I mean, whatever. It's still a good move, but it's like Ben Simmons needs to get something. He needs to man up or something. You know what I mean? Something needs to happen with him. But we're gonna talk about him another video or whenever I feel like it. But this is about the Nets. You know what I mean? So they go into the playoffs this season, 7th seed, because Kevin Durant gets hurt during this season as well, and they get swept. But they get swept with Kyrie and KD healthy and playing. So they get swept bad. They look horrible all series basically. And it's crazy because the Boston Celtics played they played a great series. I'm not going to discredit them. They played great basketball, and they're right now my pick to go to the finals in the Eastern Conference. But you got Kevin Durant. He played literally the worst basketball of his career in this series. Averaged 26 points per game, 38% shooting. Couldn't figure out how to solve this Boston defense. All efficient games, every single game, except for game 3, but he wasn't even aggressive. So it doesn't even go hand in hand at all. But what's funny is Kyrie Irving also struggles as well. But while all this is happening, remember the Ben Simmons trade we just talked about literally probably a minute ago? He never touches the floor at all this whole season. Remember, he was supposed to come back in March. Then he doesn't come back in March. They push it back. They keep pushing it back. Then they say before this series starts, or I think after game 1, that he'll be back game 4. Or game 3, game 4. Something like that. He never comes back. Then they say for game 4, they say before game 4, that, this is when he's supposed to play. This is the timeline. Literally the day before game 4, he can't play. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. When you really think about this in hindsight, it's like, imagine if the Brooklyn Nets had held on to Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, and had those guys be key role players for this team along with KD and Kyrie, instead of just trying to go big game hunting and, going for these big name signings. Some of them that didn't even really help them at all, like LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, who were just names but didn't even impact the floor in a positive way their whole time in Brooklyn. Blake Griffin, last season was decent role player. This season barely even touched the floor like that. Did play well in the game 4, the elimination game that just happened, in his minutes, but that's not going to make up for what he's done the whole year. Basically didn't do nothing. And I just think that the front office deserves some blame, just as much as the players, because they messed up. And you can say during that time that they were great moves, because I said the same thing. Getting Ben Simmons for Harden, pretty even move. You look at it during that time. You look at the James Harden move, the first one, when they acquired him. That was a big time move. You never seen James Harden, KD, and Kyrie, a team with that much offensive firepower from 3 stars on one team. So at the time, that looked great. But when you look at it now and you sit there and you're the Brooklyn Nets front office, you have to think, wow, like these moves really didn't do anything at all so far, for the Ben Simmons one at least so far. And for example, it's not even just the players' decisions. It's not even like the player decisions, like, trading for guys. It's also like getting Steve Nash as the head coach for this team. Don't get me wrong, Steve Nash knows his basketball, but Steve Nash looks like he wasn't ready to be a head coach. And not only that, if he's going to be a head coach, let him be a head coach for a young team, a team that will listen to him, recognize that he is Steve Nash. Not put him on a Brooklyn Nets team with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, superstar caliber players. They're not going to respect him the same way. Those guys have egos, especially Kyrie and KD. They got egos. Those are stars. And, Kevin Durant did play Golden State, so I won't say he has the biggest ego because he was able to put his ego to the side and go play with Curry. But Kyrie, for sure, we all know he has an ego. And Steve Nash had no experience at all in dealing with these scenarios from a coach perspective. And now heading into the offseason, the Nets have questions to answer with Kyrie Irving's contract extension talks and how long will that contract be, especially with the way his injuries happen and they can happen at any given moment, or whether he just takes off at any random moment. You never know when you're going to see him back on the court. Not only that, they also have to address some depth issues because I don't like the makeup of their roster, to be honest. They have to address the lack of defense on the roster because outside of Bruce Brown, outside of Ben Simmons, and if you want to throw Kevin Durant in there, and maybe if I'm forgetting somebody else, probably Nick Claxton, that's it. Those are the only guys that play defense at a solid to elite level. Everybody else is horrible on defense. Kyrie Irving, not a good defender. Steph Curry, not a good defender. Andre Drummond, not a rim protector at all. You look at down the line, Joe Harris, who was injured for basically a big part of the season, not really a great defender like that. It's a lot of guys on this team that are not great defenders, and they need more. They need some guys that are going to play some defense. Because when you look back, and you go back to the beginning of last season, I still remember the first game Kevin Durant and Kyrie played on the Nets. It was against Golden State last season. Opening night, Karis LeVert and them were on the team. And I remember saying that this was one of the deepest teams in basketball. They got so much firepower on the bench, in the starting lineup. They're going to come at you no matter what direction they decide to go to. And now they have an issue in that department. All because they got star hungry when they already had 2 superstars and they had a good team around them. Now, as the years go on, the Nets window is getting smaller. Guys are getting older. Kevin Durant's getting older. Kyrie Irving's getting older. And you got the Celtics, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I know they've been a duo for a little while now, but they're still young. The Toronto Raptors are still a young team. The Cleveland Cavaliers showed you what they can do. They're not too far away from being, in that top 5 conversation in the Eastern Conference one day. And then you obviously got the big guys, the Giannis Antetokounmpos, the Joel Embiids in Milwaukee and Philly, MVP candidates that are already going to be in the title discussion for next season with their teams. So I'm not saying the Nets have no chance to win a title in the next 2 to 3 years, because let's not forget, KD and Kyrie are special talents. But if they can't get pieces around them that fit, and if those two guys are going to be in and out of the lineups every other game, then the best bet is to just go against Brooklyn and bet the field for the title favorites next season. Bet the field, because, you know, they're not a safe pick. They're not. They're not a safe pick with this team. And what I think is going to happen is the Nets are going to fire Steve Nash. They're going to try to bring in a veteran coach, which I will support the move because I do think they need a veteran coach. But they also, like I said before, they need to address some issues on that bench, and also play some of these younger guys. Like Cam Thomas is a solid player. I don't know why he never ever saw the floor at all, because in my opinion, I think, you know, Patty Mills is a good player, and Patty Mills did deserve to play in this series, and you know, Goran Dragic, good player as well, but Cam Thomas is young. He's a scorer. He could give you that, you know, that new energy, and I don't get why he never saw the floor. It's like, I get you want your young guys to learn on the bench, but sometimes giving them that hands-on experience and playing in these big playoff games is good for their development. And you never even gave them a shot. So I think they should look into those guys, see what they can do next season, get some 3-and-D guys, not just guys that can score but not play no defense at all. And then obviously, like I said earlier, the head coaching change I think is going to happen. That's probably the most likely thing that will happen with this team. But a lot of questions are going to have to be answered by the Brooklyn Nets, Sean Marks especially. I think they deserve some blame. They tried doing a lot. I'm not going to sit here and act like they didn't try to make the team better, because they did. You know, you bring in stars, you're trying to make the team better. But those moves backfired. Ben Simmons is still going to be on the team, but I don't know if his mentality is strong enough to deal with these high pressure situations. Imagine if they go into the playoffs next season and, you know, they start hacking them like they were on purpose last season. I mean, I don't know. I got a lot of questions about this Nets team. We're going to see, though. It's going to be really interesting next season. They're going to be one of the more interesting teams like they were this year. And I just want to see what they can do and what they're going to do this offseason, because it's vacation time now for the Brooklyn Nets. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Link will be down in the description below. This has been the Checkup, where we talk hoops and hoops only. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.